1. Background. My first job was at a major electronics retailer. I was fortunate to start at a location with an uncommonly talented staff, and learned a lot about AV during my time there, enough to get out and work on the real stuff. I eventually left, but I've kept up with old colleagues over the years, and while most of them have left, taken offers from clients, started businesses, gone back to school, etc., a loyal few have stuck around. After I left, I became a customer, buying displays for projects at my new company. On this particular day, I had stopped by to order a bunch of small TVs, enough 32-inch and 40-inch displays to fill a mansion. When I arrived, one of the guys I knew well seemed to be alone on the floor and was already helping a customer. He spotted me, gave me the quick "you're next" nod, and I began to wander around the department. I strolled around for a few minutes, checking out all the new toys they'd put up since my last visit. I walked over to a brand new display with the world's first consumer 4K TV. It was enormous. This was 2012, when 65 inches was huge. At 84 inches, this was stunning. A demo video looped, showing Fruit, the Berlin Philharmoniker, exotic locales with smiling people in colorful dress, the usual. The employee wraps up with his previous customer and greets me. We chat for a minute about business, his kids, etc. Eventually, I give him my shopping list and he heads off to the computer to start the order. So I return to drooling over the 4K from 2 feet away. As I stand there examining Sir Simon Rattle's wispy hair for the first time, I notice a man marching toward the department, wad of receipts and paperwork in hand, and a nasty scowl on his face. As anyone in retail will tell you, this is a giant warning sign of demands and false accusations to come. The man is in his 50s, had greyish hair, and was dressed in stereotypical wealthy guy running weekend errands style. Let's call him Barry. Barry makes a beeline for the desk and clears his throat. My attention is now turned to the impending spectacle. The employee looks up, and before he has a chance to reply, Barry begins his tirade. "Whatever you're doing can wait. You guys are crooks, and you need to fix that or I'll start telling everyone I know." "Well, I'm sorry to hear that you feel that way, sir. I'm just finishing up with another customer, and I'll be right with you to see what we can do to help." "Oh, so you have someone else to scam first?" "Sir, I'll be happy to help you just as soon as I'm freed up. Give me just a few minutes, please." "You sell bad TVs, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You're scamming people, and I refuse to be one of them." At this point, it's clear this man won't be calmed down easily. I've seen this parade. I look at the employee and give him the "nah, go ahead, I can wait" wave, so he can defuse this. Well, Barry doesn't like this, not one bit. My go-ahead wave is to Barry a "get him out of here" wave to my subordinate. Now, it's important to note that the employees in this section are required to wear ties and slacks. I am wearing a collared shirt and jeans. Dismissing my flagrant and egregious dress code violation, Barry now turns his anger to me. "What does that mean?" Sarcastically mimics my hand motion. "Oh, I was just telling him he could talk to you first since I'm not in a rush." "What? By kicking me out of the store? I paid you guys for a new TV and you're just going to kick me out so you don't have to do your jobs?" "Sir, I don't work here. I'm just placing an order for these model numbers." "So you know the model numbers, but you don't work here?" "Well, I need to know that so they can place the order." Barry is still having none of it. As he begins his tale of why he hates us, I try again to politely explain that I don't work there, but that they're great and I'm sure they can figure out what's going on. Presumably unable to reconcile my claims with my ability to use my inside voice, Barry took the personal route. "You know what? Go fuck yourself." "Excuse me?" "Sir, that is not acceptable, and I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Switching gears completely and putting on my "I can't get fired" armor. "No, it's fine. I'd just like to know why he believes I should fuck myself." "You guys sell garbage and you should be ashamed." "Again, sir. It's fine. Let's see your receipt. What did you buy?" "It's some S-brand. Ask your idiot employees what they sold me." I look over the receipt on top of the pile and see normal stuff. Actually, a pretty nice TV, looks like some accessories. Definitely not unloading a crazy EOL CRT on this guy or something. It's actually a pretty good TV you bought. It's one of their better models. Well, it looks like shit. Whose problem is that? Sir, I'm sure we can work on it. You had your chance. I'm talking to him now. Well, they can exchange it if it's within the return policy. No, how are you going to fix it? At this point, my patience had run out. Maybe it was the persistence. Maybe it was being rusty from not dealing with guys like him daily. Maybe it was his overly macho approach and matching goatee. Well, I'm not going to do anything. You can stop being so cheap if your expectations are so high. Employee's jaw drops, popcorn appears. Excuse me? If you want the best, then man up. I gesture to the 84-inch. Unless you can't afford it. Well, then why didn't you guys show me this one? Because it's as much as a car. Yeah, maybe your car. Well, whatever it is, it's $25,000 if you want to put on your big boy pants. Or you can go back to being an asshole and I can go back to ignoring you. Barry pauses and laughs to himself while glancing up and down at me, like a hustler who's been defeated. Balls, kid, you got fucking balls. Let's do it. Cool. He can ring you up. Why not you? Again, I don't work here. I can't even log in to ring it up. Ha! Well, then what are you talking to me for? That's a good question. Employee, still stunned, proceeded to ring up Barry for the TV, set up the exchange, etc. Apparently this was the third time Barry had done this. The store had given him discounts and bent over backwards to make him happy, but he wasn't having it, and spent an entire day in the store previously. The employee in question insisted that I accept half his commission for both my trouble and for not having to deal with Barry ever again, since the new TV was non-refundable. To this day, I don't know what was wrong with his TV. Moral of the story: some people just want to be yelled at. 2. I work at a grocery store that has a self-serve buffet-style bar, if you will. Usually we close them down an hour or so before closing time, so that we can clean it up and prepare to close the kitchen. The bars are located near a cafe where you can sit down and eat, which conveniently has a cash register next to it. However, the cash register closes around the time we begin closing the bars, but there are 15+ registers open all night, which are literally not even 30 steps away from the bars, and are completely capable of checking out the containers used on the bar. This one night I was cleaning the bars, and this old man came in to get food from the bars. I'll call him OM, and once he saw that I had pulled half the bar, he was not too happy to say the least.
Where's all the food? Isn't there usually more?
I explained to him that I began to pull the bars since it was getting late, and he was more than welcome to get food from the other half of the bars that were still open.
You mean this shit show here? There's practically nothing left.
At this point he had walked away before I could even reply, but I just shrugged it off and kinda laughed to myself. However, he would soon be back to further voice his displeasure. He had grabbed some food and put it into a container, and was now standing at the cafe register, the register that had just closed down. He then walked away and was complaining to a nearby department that had nothing to do with the bar or the registers. One of the workers in this department most likely pointed the old man to me, since I was the only one at the bars. However, one of my co-workers who had unfortunately been in the wrong place at the wrong time happened to walk by the old man, and without even a warning he started going off on him.
Hey, isn't anyone gonna cash me out over here?
Mind you, the register had a big red closed sign literally right in front of it. That register is closed, sir, but if you walk to the other registers nearby, they can check you out as well.
You mean I have to walk all the way over there just to pay for my food? Why can't someone come over here so I can pay for it?
By this point, the guy was actually beginning to raise his voice fairly loud and cause a slight commotion, over having to walk an extra 20 to 30 steps or so, acting like he has to traverse a mile-long landscape. I went over to my co-worker and told him to just call the manager, because this guy was clearly past the point of any civil conversation or reasoning. So we call over a manager, and the old man is just waiting by the register, looking more and more frustrated as time goes by. A minute or so later, a manager comes over, but the old man just tosses his food on a nearby table, mutters something along the lines of, "Forget this, I'll go get food somewhere else." takes the empty cart and leaves the store before the manager even got a chance to talk to him. He could have literally paid for his food at another register and sat down in the time he used to cause a scene and just stand at the closed register pouting. I've worked here a few years, and every day or so I'm reminded that grown adults somehow revert to giant babies over the slightest inconveniences when it comes to their food. 3. So me and my girlfriend took a trip to Disneyland Paris a few years ago, as our first holiday together. We were having an awesome time in the parks, etc. But one day was incredibly busy, so we decided instead of queuing hours for rides, we would do some souvenir shopping instead for a bit. We are in a store in Disneyland, browsing various mugs, fridge magnets, plush toys, you know, the general overpriced stuff, when a very sweet English woman asked me if I could help her across the store, as I'm a tall guy, 6'4". I said, yeah, that's fine. I get it at home in supermarkets all the time, so no biggie. Turns out her daughter wanted a specific Winnie the Pooh toy that was on the top of a huge pile of plushies. I gladly grabbed it down for her and gave it to the little girl who was over the moon. This is where things got strange. A fairly young French lady moved over to me, chatting in French and gesturing at a shelf with some glasses on it. I speak a tiny bit of French, but definitely not enough to know what she wanted, so I politely told her, sorry, I speak English, and I'm not an employee. I was wearing jeans and a wine-colored hoodie, which is not even remotely close to Disney cast members' uniforms. The French lady stormed off, and I thought that was that. I went and found my girlfriend, and we're looking at some gift ideas for our families, when from right behind me I hear a woman say, "This is him," in English but with a French accent. I turned around to see the aforementioned French lady, who had dragged an actual employee over to me to give me a scolding. Her accent was very heavy, but she said something along the lines of, "He helped someone, but not me. Workers should be trained better." The actual Disney employee immediately could see I was a guest at the park, apologized and led the woman away. All we could hear from the other side of the store was the French lady shouting and getting very irate. I assumed she was removed from the store. Anyway, me and my girlfriend took a couple of Minnie and Mickey Mouse mugs to the register to pay for, and the employee who sorted the situation was on the next register. She said, "Please wait there." She toddled off and came back a couple minutes later with a stuffed Luke Skywalker Mickey Mouse and a stuffed Princess Leia Minnie Mouse for my girlfriend. "These are for you as way of an apology." "It's not necessary, it was just a misunderstanding," I said, but she insisted. So we got some pretty cool free souvenirs. Thanks, angry French lady. 4. When I was 14, I got my first retail job over the summer. Growing up in a tourist town, most of the business only hired teens in summer, or even were only open in the summer. I got a job at the only clothing shop in town. Our bikinis were overpriced, but very well made, and often ran upwards of $70 for a full suit. Dresses and shoes were often more reasonably priced, but quite expensive anyways. Just for the setup. This shop was in the front rooms of this woman's house, which had been renovated to accommodate all the racks, change rooms, etc. It looked like a shop, but because it was clearly much larger from the outside, everyone was always under the impression there was an expensive back, when it really was a house, and the extra stock was kept in a 1x3 meter section behind a curtain that was impossible to get to. We had a covered cement pad filled with clothing racks outside the door to the left, and to the right was a tube and floaty shed with all kinds of beach equipment to buy. One day, me and the other two girls, P and D, are doing the setup and some customers start browsing. We'd had issues a few weeks ago when a festival had ended and a lot of transients came through and shoplifted, as well as one woman who went in the change room and possibly did drugs for a long-ass while leaving her dogs panting in the car. We had these bathing suit cover-ups that were a thin cottony linen kind of material, and it was an ankle-length white tank top dress with a colored version of the same dress in knee-length over top. It was pretty cute, but they cost like $85, so I wasn't super interested in buying one myself. We had both tills open that day, cash only and cash and card, and this woman came up to P with a few bathing suits, odds and ends, and just the knee-length maroon half of the cover-up on the hanger. She starts ringing through and hands me the half cover-up and says something like, "Go find the other half of this, someone must have taken it apart." So I take the cover-up and head outside and find the dress pretty quickly, put it all back together, and bring it back to P. She rings it through and goes to bag it, when the lady grabs her wrist and goes, "I don't want that!" P gets a kind of confused look and then goes, "Oh, of course, I can cancel that. I'll just put it back then." And then the lady gets an angry look and goes, "No, that! I don't want that!" and points aggressively to the dress. This woman has now grabbed D's attention as well, and goes super retail voice. And goes, "Ma'am, is there something I can assist you with today? Are you having an issue I can help with?" And the lady gets red-faced and goes, "This girl is trying to rip me off by charging me for 2 dresses when I want 1. And started gesturing wildly at the cover-up. D just goes, "Oh, I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, ma'am. This is actually 1 dress. It was taken apart and only half of it was on the hanger. It's still the same amount of money you see on the tag there. But this lady isn't having it. These 3 girls under the age of 17 are all here to steal from her and con her into dresses she doesn't want." "I want this red dress, not this white one." "Ma'am, it's 1 piece. It costs the same amount with this half of it. Someone took it apart and left it on the rack, and we're very sorry about that, but it is 1 piece." "I did that because I didn't want the white part. I just want this. Please just sell me what I want." "We can't sell you just part of a product. You need to buy it all. You only wear this part out if that's what you like. It's totally up to you."
"No, I don't want it."
"I'm so sorry, miss, but we can't let you leave the store with half of a full-price product, when that technically makes it defective, especially when that leaves us with the other half of that product. You're more than welcome to take it apart when you get home, or as soon as you leave the doors of this store. You can take the part you like and just use that."
"But I don't want this white part. I don't think you understand. I don't want it. What am I supposed to do with it if I don't want it?"
It doesn't matter. You can give the other half to a friend, or throw it away, or burn it in your yard. It really doesn't matter to us, but you can't take half a product out of the store and leave us with a partial product that we can't sell."
"Oh, well, all right. If I don't have to wear this, then it doesn't matter. Thank you."
Then she paid in cash and left. WTF. Did she think it was mandatory to wear clothes the way you buy them in the store? Did she think we were gonna force her to wear the full dress and scream at her in the street if we saw her? I just don't understand this. I'm confused by it, and it's been 7 years. 5. I used to work in a bulk sale warehouse whose name just so happens to be a very fun thing to get from a lady. Or dude, whatever the fuck you're into. They also had a strict dress code of a red polo and navy blue pants, shorts, or jeans. But only if they were dark blue, no acid wash or holes, etc. Now I worked there for 5 long and terrible years. I will say this, though, I loved my co-workers, I truly do. They are some of the most reliable, friendly, and honest people I know. The problem with this place, as it is in most cases, were the customers. But that's because they've been spoiled rotten by our pushover managerial staff who'd rather throw you under the bus than back us up on the company's policies. Moving on. Working in any retail job over the course of 5 years, you're gonna get regulars that come in. Some good, some bad. This lady, we'll call her entitled bitch, came in at the very least weekly. And every time she came in, she would make every employee bend over backwards and jump through hoops over little petty shit, and it annoyed the fuck out of us. Now at this point in the story, I should mention that at the time I no longer worked for the bulk sale warehouse, but instead for a cell phone kiosk that just so happened to be in another one of those bulk sale warehouses that was maybe a 20-minute drive away from the one I previously worked at. Mind you, our uniform was much more relaxed. Jeans were mandatory, but we could wear t-shirts, polos, button-downs, pretty much anything as long as it didn't have a logo on it. Now here's where we get to the good part. It makes me smile just thinking about it. So one day I'm at work in the kiosk and I need to use the restroom. I let my buddy who works with me know I'm going to the bathroom. So I leave and start heading towards the bathroom, and right before the bathrooms are this store's self-checkout lines. The keyword being self, but that's an issue for another day. As I walk past self-checkout, I hear someone calling for assistance by one of the machines. I obviously ignore it because it ain't my problem anymore, but as I keep walking, this lady talks louder and louder, so it clicks in my head. Internally, I'm thinking, "Hey, dumbass, someone's talking to you." I turn, and who do I see but entitled bitch? And I think to myself that she's probably wondering where I've been, since by this point I had left bulk sale warehouse about 2 months ago. I approach and say confused, "Yes?"
I have waters, but I need the box.
Motioning to the 6-gallon jugs of water in her cart. "I'm sorry."
I need box for skin.
"Cool?" She must have thought I still worked for Bulk Sale Warehouse because the biggest shit-eating grin spread across her face. Kind of grin a person gets when they feel they've won.
You will go get for me.
At this point, every alarm in my head is going off, and all I can think to myself is, this is it. The moment I've waited for so long, what should I say? In my head, I'm thinking of all the ways I can tell this horrid woman that she's beat because I ain't doing shit for her. Instead, though, I've settled on this. Ha! No. I then proceed to laugh in her face and turn around and laugh myself all the way to the bathroom. I feel the best part of this whole situation had to have been the look on her face. The best part is on her way out she saw me walking past again.
I want to see your manager.
Okay. I walk her back to the kiosk. Here he is, pointing to my manager in the kiosk. Man, she was pissed when she realized she couldn't get me in trouble with Bulk Sale Warehouse anymore. So those 5 years I spent there, worth it. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 35. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I was hoping to do a Neckbeard video this week, but the Neckbeard Stories subreddit is still closed down. I do hope it reopens. There is another one that's popped up. I'd actually set one up myself, named after the Neckbeards in the Wild series. But I shut it down when I decided I really don't have the time it takes to properly run a subreddit. So I figure I'll let someone else deal with it. So there are other ones that have been set up in the interim. They don't have the subscriber base that the main one does. So hopefully that gets fixed. I have been gathering stories, and I've just as I was finishing off this video, I've just about got enough to do another one. So hopefully next Sunday we can have more Neckbeard tales. Okay, and with that I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.